Hi guys, this is Chris at Cork and Crown. I'm going to try some more cider, and the cider I'm going to try today is a Keeved cider. I might have mentioned Keeving before. You might have heard the term Keeving before. But what is it exactly? Well, it's basically a fining process. It's whereby yeast nutrients are taken out of the juice that's going to be fermented, and thereby not allowing the yeast enough nutrients to finish the fermentation. So what you have left over with Keeved ciders is sugar, but it's not added sugar, it's just residual sugar from the apples. So no sugar's been added. So what you normally have is a lower alcohol level because less sugar's been converted to alcohol and more residual sugar. Goodness knows how they figured this out historically. Probably by accident. I imagine most great ideas are actually accidents, I think. There aren't that many eureka moments. People do something wrong, they go, oh dear, we've done something wrong. Oh, but actually that's quite good. Should we try and do that again? I think that's how most great inventions come about, to be honest. So yeah, how they came up with this is lost in the mist of time. And it's actually considered now like the French process, because if you go to Normandy or Brittany, the real heartlands of cider making, all of their ciders, the majority of their ciders, are Keeved ciders. It's something that would have been done in Britain, but sort of like went out of fashion just because it's an unpredictable process. It doesn't always work, So what British cider makers tended to do was just let their ciders ferment dry, and then back sweeten to taste, and that's how a lot of people still do it, So yeah, it's a process by which you would mulch up your apples, let them macerate, sit overnight. Certain enzymes would then come into play. You would then press out the juice. Those enzymes would be in the juice. You put the juice into a fermenter, and then what happens is these enzymes react with pectins, which gather up protein and rise to the top. As the fermentation starts and bubbles start to rise, it takes up the gel, this pectin gel, and takes the nutrients to the top, where it forms what's called, in France it's called a chateaubrun, brown hat. In England we call it the flying lees. It takes about 2 to 3 weeks for this to happen. And then what's left beneath the brown cap, or the flying lees, it's a very clear liquid. You then rack that off, siphon it off, put it into another fermenter, and leave it to ferment. Cold conditions, slow fermentation. It's going to be slow fermentation anyway because there's less yeast and yeast nutrients in it. And then you bottle it before the fermentation is finished usually, and then you will get natural sparkle in the bottle because the fermentation would finish in the bottle, but there'll be sugars left over. So I don't know if I explained that very well, but hopefully you know a little bit more about Keeving than you did to start with. So we have a Keeved cider here from Somerset, actually, from Bridge Farm. Nigel Stewart. You're always going to see these Keeved ciders. You tend to see these sort of champagne corks and cages on the top. This is I love this. So this is a 4% cider, and you can tell it's 4% because Nigel's written 4% on there in felt tip. Thank you, Nigel. So I think we should open this up and give it a taste. The taste I usually get from Keeved ciders, the overwhelming thing that sticks in my mind is tartatin. Whoa! Didn't have to pull that out. I did not expect that to happen. That was pretty cool. Okay, so very exciting TV for you. Let's pour this out. So you get a nice fine mousse, as they say, bubbles. It's quite a light colour, not as dark as some Keeved ciders can be. They're usually a bit darker than that. Nice sort of what they call a mousse, the light sparkle. So if you get naturally sparkling ciders as opposed to forced carbonated ciders where the CO2 is forced in, which is done with a lot of sparkling ciders, the majority I expect, they're a slightly coarser bubble, slightly lighter bubble on this sort of thing. Slight haze though, so it's unfiltered. Let's give it a swirl around. So Nigel, I was talking to him when I was at the farm when I picked this up. He's a massive fan of French cider, Normandy ciders, as am I. So we had a nice chat about that. In fact, I think it's one of the things that got him really excited about cider originally. He said he'd worked over there in France a bit as well. So, yeah. So look. Okay. Yeah. So I'm already getting a bit of that tartatin sort of thing on the nose, definitely. A little bit of Still a bit of funkiness as well, which I do like. Almost a smell of, I never know how to describe it. So I still work in cheese. I was a cheesemonger for 25 years. And one of the things you wear a lot as a cheesemonger is Wellington boots. And every time you got a new pair of Wellington boots, if you stuck your nose in the Wellington boot, it's a very lovely smell. It's a lovely new welly smell. And I get that sometimes in like really good Rieslings. Get this, French Rieslings, German Rieslings. And when I get it, it always appeals to me very much. And I got a little bit of that on the nose. A little bit of funk, definitely some of that sort of ripe, rich apple, poached apple, cooked apple, baked apple sort of smell going on. Let's have a taste. So, 24%, but it's got a nice mouthfeel because of that rich, the bubbles make it fill your mouth. Makes you feel, gives it like it's bigger than it actually is. Decent tannin, nice tannin, low acid. That's normal. You would expect low acid in this sort of cider. And there is a very, very soft, actually there's almost a creaminess to it, a very gentle creamy element to it, which I really like. And there's a very soft sort of tartar baked apple character. Sometimes it's bigger, sometimes it's smaller, that character. Residual sugar's good, not too sweet, but the sugar's there, but I love the sugar. Low acid, like I said, so if you don't like sugar, you might struggle with this, but it's not super sweet, so I don't see why you would. Great with food, stuff like this. I mean, if you think what you pay for something like this, I sell this for a few pounds basically. If you went to one of the larger supermarkets with a £10 note, all you could get would be a Prosecco, a Cava, something not that exciting that was sparkling. You go for Keeved ciders, for the same amount of money you can get something which knocks their socks off every single time. Seriously, Keeved ciders are da bomb, in my opinion, in terms of value for money and how good they taste. This is super refreshing. It's light, but it's complex as well. It really is. And that kind of like buttered, like a buttery thing going on as well, like there's butter on my poached apple kind of thing, which I'm enjoying a lot. Yeah. I had this cider once, about 12 months ago, but it was a different vintage. This is the 2018. The one I must have had was the 2017. I think this one's better. I like it more. Yeah, really good. Nice one, Nigel. So yeah, 4%, so you can drink it. You know, it's not too strong. Really refreshing, really delicious, really interesting, gentle, but really satisfying. Yeah, like it. Thanks, Nigel. Alright guys, I'm going to do some, I sell other Keeved ciders, which I will try at some point. I'm always happy to open one of those. I like them very much. But yeah, I hope you thought that was interesting and worth your time, and I hope to see you again. So goodbye and cheers. Cheers.